Now you were around before Biggie passed away, right?
Yep, yep. Right around 95, 94, right? Well, he died in 97, right?
Yes.
Yep,
Yep.
97 on March 9th, 1997. Yeah, I was there before the demise of Biggie. And yeah, I used to, in the clubs when we used to go see Puff in the clubs in LA when he would come. I think when were out there for the Grammys, because I was an artist and they thought that I came from Los Angeles. So whenever Puff would come to Los Angeles, that's when I would have to go to the studio to kind of rap songs up most, because we didn't have email. We couldn't email songs. We had to FedEx them. So when he came into town, I would go into the studio just to make sure that when he leaves and go back to New York, he has all the CDs and everything that he needs with my music on them. So like when they came out there for the awards, I was there. I hung out with them briefly for a couple of parties we went to, but then after that, I went back to the studio. And when I went to the studio, that's when I got the news that, Biggie Smalls had got shot out there in Los Angeles, but I was out there the whole time. I was already there. I was on Hollywood and Cahuenga. The studio was over there. That's where I used to work at her.
Okay, now I seen you talk about in your book that you believe Biggie wanted to leave.
Yeah, Biggie, every person, once you are in that position where you figuring out the best in you and your self-worth, and when you feel, that you're worth more than what you're receiving, then the first thing that comes to you is reaching for another structure or another deal. So that's not something that I find strange or something that just happened with Biggie. It happens with a lot of artists once they see their value and then they say, hey, you know what? I'm worth more money without this middleman. I'm worth more. I can go directly to a major label and I can have a deal instead of having a middleman deal in place. Like, if it's like being signed, like Biggie was signed to Bad Boy and then Bad Boy was signed to Arista, but Biggie would have probably had a better chance at doing good business had he had been signed directly to Arista, if that makes sense to people who may not understand that one. Bad Boy still has a parent label, whether it be Interscope, Arista. They were never a record label. It was just an imprint under a label.
What was it that made you think Biggie wanted to leave? Did he tell you that directly?
Nah, he didn't tell me that directly, but as an artist, I can understand why, because you're on a label with an artist who's also the boss, and you're not getting the attention that you need. It's like the same way Puff wants to file for discrimination for the liquor companies not putting his liquor brands out there and promoting them like they're promoting the other brands that was on the label. It's the same case, because he didn't promote me as an artist, or he might not be promoting Biggie as an artist as hard or as much as he's promoting himself. So you say, okay, I'm not getting the fair treatment that I deserve on this label. And in order for me to get that treatment I'm looking for, the only thing I'm going to be able to do is get off of this label. So a lot of artists, the Lox wanted to be off of the label. Black Rob wanted to be off of the label. Everybody who was on the label wanted to be off the label. In fact, everybody who seemed to have been signed to any label they always wanted to get off of the label, especially when they felt like the label wasn't treating them fairly.
Now, was Biggie getting shortchanged with his money? Like, did he not get a good advance or anything like that?
When you think of advances and things like that, somebody's going to give you an advance towards what they feel you're worth. And it's hard to give someone an advance if you don't know their worth yet. So that advance is kind of like not even worth taking sometimes, because you say, hey, if you know that I'm capable of going out and making $100 million, why is my advance only $50,000? If you believe in me the way that you feel that we're going to make numbers, we're going to make 100 million, maybe give me 10 million, maybe give me 15. So the advance that you get is not, it's like being popular, being famous, and being seen on television a million times. and you only have maybe $1,000 in your pocket to show for it, that kind of is like it's not balanced. It's not worth it.
You said that Biggie had to sell dope and homemade duplicates of his CDs just to earn some money?
Man, that's when everything in the music industry, where every person at that time who wanted to be into the music industry usually came from the streets. So it's almost like every drug dealer at one point in time wanted to be a rapper, and they always wanted to have a record label. So yes, being able to sell tapes and CDs, I've done it, but being able to sell tapes and CDs out of the trunk of your car is just like selling drugs, because you would think that your CD's dope. You would, so so it's just the same way that we used to. It's the street movement. Either you're gonna sell drugs, or you're gonna sell music. And it was just a choice, when we were coming up, it was like the only two choices that you had. Either you're gonna try to be a musician or do music, or you're gonna sell drugs. It's either or. So, it was a lot of artists other than Biggie that came into the industry as drug dealers first, and then artists second. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I still had to do things that I didn't want to do, not all legal, and even I was still signed, and I just had to do it to survive. So surviving is different when it comes to being an artist, is you have to survive. So if you're not surviving in your artist, that just makes life bad. So for him to have to be as famous or successful as he was and still had to do those kind of things in life kind of shows that the music industry really doesn't take care of the artists as much as people would think.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.